India can't go from one ceasefire to another without being satisfied that Pakistan will not repeat its acts of violation. Shastri with General Ayub Khan, Alexei Kosygin, and others in Tashkent in 1966. New Delhi. Though the ceasefire agreement between India and Pakistan came into effect on September 23, 1965, the Shastri government told the UN about the barbarous conduct of Pakistan. The letter dated September 28, 1965, from the permanent representative of India to Thant listed several such acts. A. The town of Kemkaran was seen burning throughout the night of 27-28 September. It is obvious that Pakistani troops are causing maximum possible damage to Indian property. B. A huge fire was seen in 4 villages in an area 8 miles west-south of Aknor. Pakistanis have obviously been burning the villages. They have also taken away the cattle. C. On September 24, village Najal Chowk northwest 7765 was burnt. D. On September 25, village Jad northwest 7568, village Pyri northwest 7566, village Pulewal northwest 7666, and village Chowk Karpal northwest 7763 was burnt. Indian diplomats hounded in Pak. And may a note from file no. Pi/114/27/65 says Pakistan's maltreatment of the Indian missions is unparalleled in the history of diplomatic relations. Not only has the government of Pakistan willfully disregarded its obligation to protect a diplomatic mission but has deliberately inflicted humiliation on the High Commissioner and members of the staff and their families and thus committed serious violations of their diplomatic immunity. On the night of September 11, hundreds of policemen, armed with rifles and bayonets, invaded and searched all residential buildings of the High Commission in Islamabad. There was also organized mass attack on the Karachi Chancery by 3,000 violent demonstrators for about 4 hours on September 21 in the presence of and with obvious connivance of armed police encamped on the Chancery grounds. On September 18, Pakistan police demanded that the Dhaka Chancery should be closed down and that the Indian flag should not be flown on the building. On the night of September 18, most of the mission's personnel, who had been herded into Chancery after being forced out of their residences by Pakistan police on September 10, were evicted from the Chancery by Pakistani police. While on the other hand in India, Pakistan embassy staff continued to occupy 9 places, including the spacious areas in Tilak Marg and Diplomatic Enclave. On September 16, they were offered 40 furnished apartments with all amenities in Lodi Hotel. In addition to retaining the spacious accommodation in the Diplomatic Enclave and Tilak Marg, Swaran confronted US for ammo to Pakistan. While hostilities with Pakistan started in April leading to the full-blown war in August, Indian troops were being targeted with sophisticated weapons and ammunition, which the US had provided to Pakistan. Shastri was miffed by the Americans' deafening silence over the issue and had asked the Maya, headed by Sardar Swaran Singh, to confront the US government with the proof. Photographs of seized weapons from Pakistan's regular infantry brigade during April 9 and April 24 attack was shared with the US officials. India told the US that it was contrary to all the assurances given to India right from the time of President Eisenhower. The Maya note dated August 17 said that on May 7, the Indian ambassador in Washington called on the U.S. Secretary of State to discuss this issue. He handed over to Mr. Rusk the photographs of U.S. tanks etc. used by Pakistani armed forces against India. Our ambassador pointed out that this was in complete breach of the assurances given to India by President Eisenhower, late Mr. Dulles and Ambassador Bunker. The very credibility of American assurances was called into question. The note stated. The note has also mentioned a meeting between the Indian ambassador and Phillips Talbot, United States Assistant Secretary of State for South Asian Affairs, where the latter had assured Indian ambassador that the US has taken up the matter with highest authorities in Pakistan. But the note suggests that Americans were shying away from confronting Pakistan, who was considered as its sidekick in South Asia. The U.S. State Department explained to our ambassador that the American position was a difficult one. What India apparently wanted was a public condemnation of the use of U.S. arms by Pakistan. The Americans had considered this question, but their assessment was that the situation required quiet diplomacy and not public condemnation. On May 23, 1965, Shastri, in his letter to U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson, pointed out that Pakistan's use of U.S. arms and equipment against India had naturally caused much concern in this country. Pak violated ceasefire. Ministry of External Affairs Aid Memoir 2 dated September 24, 1965, to UN Secretary-General that ceasefire was being vitiated by Pakistani troops, who were infiltrating into sectors held by Indian troops, presumably in order to make territorial claims later. Such incidents are likely to break the precarious ceasefire, and in fact an incident has occurred in Burki which led to artillery fire, it said. Another note gave details of Pakistan Army's sinister plan of using mujahids. A captain captured at the Hajipur Pass was interviewed by a United Nations observer and stated that he belonged to the 6th Azad Kashmir Battalion and was in charge of 100 mujahids whose task was to harass Indian troops covering URI.